Hello, everyone. Welcome to Adventures in Good Health, a place where we talk about natural approaches to good health. I'm your host, David Maloof. Today, we're going to talk about male health, including some of the natural approaches that we can take to improving our health. My guest today is Dr. Stephen Tates. Dr. Tates is a naturopath. He is also a master herbalist, and among his many titles, he has over half a century of herbal medicine experience. So let's talk male health and the natural approaches to improving male health with Dr. Stephen Tates. Hello, Dr. Tates. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Doc, what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about our Herbal Male Tonic, or our Male Revitalizing Tonic.
Herbal Male Tonic, okay? So something I know, I see these ads on my Facebook feed, and it's almost always they're choosing models who appear to be highly fit, highly athletic 20-somethings. And I look at those ads, I'm like, oh, come on. You know, is it really something that is affecting younger men? I mean, you mentioned at one time it was people in their 60s and 70s, and it's affecting younger men, but even men in their 20s and 30s?
That's a good question. In my profession, because I've been doing this for half a century now,
right?
The age is getting younger and younger and younger. I mean, before it was like when you were in your 50s, 60s, and definitely in your 70s. Then it started showing more in people in their 40s. Then in their 30s. Now I'm seeing young men in their late 20s, early 30s that are having problems. You know, some of it is because of diet. Some of it is because they don't drink enough water. They don't take their supplements, And men typically would think that that area of the body, has an abundance of vitality and that will last them a long period of time. So they tend to overuse that, if you know what I'm saying,
right,
by overusing it, and think that it is always going to replenish. Diet plays a huge part because there's so many artificial foods on the market that lowers the testosterone level. You've got things like soy-based products that increases the estrogen in men, and as the estrogens increase, the testosterones decrease. Then you have problems with circulation. Prostatitis and eventually prostate cancer starts with lower testosterone, but the blood is not circulating through that area of the body. So when the blood gets stagnant, things swell, and that's when you get the swollen prostate, and that's when you have those misfunctions because of the inflammation and there's no blood flow. When there's no blood flow, after a while, it goes from swelling to fungus and bacteria in that area. I know that sounds ugly, but, fungus and bacteria in that area, which then contributes to the prostate cancer issues because the PSA goes up, because the blood's not circulating, you're not getting the basic supplements like zinc and vitamin C, which helps build the immune system and work for that area of the body, which works well with our male tonic.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor, Dr. Tates, Herbal Tinctures and Tonics. Dr. Tates offers the Herbal Blood Tonic, Doc's Detox, Herbal Male Tonic, Herbal Female Tonic, and the Herbal Fat Burner. If you would like to order your tonics or learn more information, you can go to drtates.online, and if you click the link in the description and enter the special promo code Adventures in Good Health 2024, you will receive 10% off your entire order. For more information, click the links below, and now back to the show.
This is of epidemic proportions, which is why the industry makes billions and billions of dollars on all kind of junk that doesn't work. Our male tonic is designed One, to increase that blood flow and reduce the inflammation, which we talked about earlier. That's where, when you look at the blood tonic and it has the burdock and the gentian and the
Right.
sarsaparilla, which we have talked about before, which is a bitter herb, but it helps that blood flow through that area of the body. Then when we start working with things like our Saw Palmetto berries that's in it and the gotu kola that's in it, that combination works very well. Now, just as an FYI, some of our people use the blood tonic and the male tonic together, which will be a subject for another time, but sometimes people combine it to try to get that better effect, for the body. But here's the other thing that people don't realize. There are two primary areas in the body that deal with our immune system.
Okay.
Besides water and sleep and all those kinds of things, the two particular areas of the body that have a problem is our reproductive system and our liver. Either one of them or both of them are not functioning the way they need to, the immune system becomes compromised. So the male tonic, or the problem with that area of the body, tends to weaken the immune system and starts to break the body down, and the weaker immune system contributes to the PSA going up, or the urinary tract system, which is like the next door neighbor to our male organs, starts to break down. And that means you're susceptible to all kind of health issues after that.
So how does the male tonic, the herbal male tonic, help with those things?
Well, first, as I mentioned, it helps with the blood circulation. It helps with the blood flow, but it helps with the urinary tract flow. So it's helping move, fluid out from the kidneys, the gallbladder, the urinary tract system, because this is what happens. The urinary tract system becomes compromised first because there's not enough, fluid flow or blood flow through that area. Then it starts to affect the prostate and the function. So the male tonic starts to work first on the urinary tract system, the bladder, the gallbladder, the kidneys. And as that area starts to get better, then as you continue using the male tonic, then you start to get a good blood flow through the prostate. But see, it's like the body prioritizes when you're taking something, especially something natural, something herbal. Okay, so if you're taking the male tonic to help everything move and to help nourish that area of the body, much of that is used by the body on an area that's more of a priority first, which tends to be the urinary tract system. So that has to be fixed first before it helps the prostate. That's why I mentioned earlier, doing our male tonic, some of the other things that need to combine with it is a lot more water, because it kind of goes in this order. Dehydration will contribute to the problem very quickly. Okay, and I don't mean taking just liquids. It's that water consumption.
It's got to be water.
Got to be water.
Okay.
Second would be the blood circulation, which was come with the male tonic, which one we're going to go back to in a second. But
all right.
I want to say the third part, but then go back to the second part. Okay, the third part is making sure that the supplements you're taking are geared more for helping the prostate area. That would be things like zinc, 50 milligrams of zinc and the vitamin C. There's some other things you hear on the market like pygeum root and boron and all those kind of things that kind of nourish the area to make that area stronger. But that doesn't mean anything if you're not getting the water and if you're not getting the blood flow And if you're not taking
Well,
something like our male tonic.
that makes
But you can
sense.
see both things. Water, primary. Because without the water, nothing in the body's going to work right. I don't care how powerful it is, it's just not going to work right. So that, you know, 48, 64 ounces of water spread out through the day. Not juice, not tea, not, sodas. Juice and tea could be good, but plain old-fashioned water, not with lemon in it or anything, because the body knows the difference. That's the first key.
Okay.
Then with the water, and then when we're doing the male tonic, that works good as a combination. And then once we have that as a combination, then the supplements and stuff would work better. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the burdock and gentian because if people do a deep dive and look at some previous podcasts, they'll understand. But our burdock and gentian, bitter herbs, are at the top of the list as far as bitter herbs that helps that blood move and helps clean the blood, which means the blood flow through this area is a whole lot better. That's why the burdock and gentian and the backup with the sarsaparilla is very important and a lot of, herbal mixtures. So that's key. Then we get to what we talk about with the Saw Palmetto berries, okay? And they're real hard berries, but, when you look at them, but they combine well with the bitter herbs, like the burdock and gentian and stuff, because the Saw Palmetto still falls into a bitter herb. It looks like a hard grape seed or something. Okay.
Yeah, we've talked about that. It's not a succulent berry. It's you get that at a herb store. It looks like a hard little pellets almost.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard for you to extract the properties with that hard pellets. And the only way that can happen is, we make sure in the processing of the male tonic that we're using the crushed berries, not the powder, not the hard berry, because the body can't, the
Right.
formula, it won't work. So we use what we call the cut and sift, Saw Palmetto, okay, so that that way we can get that in. Now, I had a little list here, so because I'm a scientist, so I like people when they're listening
Right.
and they're taking notes because we should always tell our podcast viewers, look, we're at the podcast, but you might want to take some notes too, in case you want to call me, and find out more detail. But I'm gonna mention some of the things that are very key. The Saw Palmetto is an anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
So, all by itself, it helps reduce inflammation. Now, we know the burdock and gentian does that as well. So, you see, got all this stuff to reduce the inflammation, like clearing the highway, so the blood flows through that area better. But being an anti-inflammatory, it can reduce inflammation around our kidneys, around our bladder and gallbladder. Because when those areas become inflamed, then the performance goes right down the tube, okay? But saw palmetto is also good to reduce infections in that area. Cancer is a bacteria, fungus, inflammatory condition. So when you end up with prostate cancer, it's like saying poor blood flow, too much fungus and bacteria and junk that end up stuck, in our prostate area and not moving. And anything that's stuck eventually starts to ferment, build bacteria, throws that system off. Am I making sense with this?
Yeah, you're making sense.
Okay. Now, it also, they say that it helps prevent hair loss. Now, yes and no. Okay, you read sometimes things that it's like, but I could see it helping because it's reducing inflammation throughout the whole body. So I've had some men say that, I was starting to get bald and I took, the male tonic, and I can see little seedlings coming up in my hair. Like I'm getting a little more hair growth. So that is possible, but that's not the reason why I had the Saw Palmetto.
All right.
I get the attitude is, look, performance and bald, no performance and hair. That's an easy choice, I'll go bald, and shave it all off as long as I can still function,
Understood.
I get hair, but I can't perform. No, most men are not, all men are not going to go for that if we have to choose. So, we look at that and we don't pay attention, but it really helps the urinary tract and its functions.
Okay.
Improves prostate health. So the Saw Palmetto, different from the burdock and gentian and stuff, it helps nourish the prostate too. So it's feeding the prostate, which when you feed something that's starving, then it gets stronger. So it's about just nourishing and feeding the prostate while it's reducing the inflammation around the prostate. So I'm feeding and reducing the inflammation and helping the blood flow. With just the Saw Palmetto by itself, let alone mixed in with the stuff that we have, okay? It's also good for women in some cases with ovarian issues, but we got our female tonic that helps with that. Okay, it helps, as I'm saying, abnormal amounts of what's called androgen, which is spelled ANDROGEN, which affects the male functions. One of the things it builds up when everything is blocked.
Okay.
It can help in reducing what it tends to be called cysts in that area of the body, okay? And then it helps just blends well, It just blends well, but that's not the only thing that's in the male tonic, because we got the burdock and the gentian and sarsaparilla.
You got the two heavy hitters in burdock root and gentian root. And you've got the Saw Palmetto berry.
Which is a major big hitter.
Oh, that's a heavy hitter on its own then.
That's a heavy hitter on its own.
All right.
It's hitting another area because the burdock and gentian is a heavy hitter for like the whole body, including the male function. The Saw Palmetto is a heavy hitter specifically for the male organs and the prostate area.
Okay.
It's not a heavy hitter like the burdock and gentian for the other areas of the body, but it's a heavy hitter for that area of the body.
All right. So then rounding out the cast, I'm using a Hollywood term there, but rounding out the cast of the Herbal Male Tonic is
Gotu kola.
Coca-Cola.
Gotu kola leaves. Now,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I called it Coca-Cola last time we did it, and you gave me a glare. All right. Don't listen to me. Gotu kola.
Yeah, it begins with a G, just in case you know.
Right.
Gotu kola, and the thing is that when we was putting the formula together, people were saying, novice that didn't understand. We said, well, the burdock and gentian is their roots, they're strong roots. Okay,
right.
The gotu kola is in the high berry, which still falls in the root family. Okay, gotu kola is leaves. Now, typically,
just so we're clear, so the sarsaparilla, Saw Palmetto
sarsaparilla
berry
is root. Sarsaparilla is a root too.
All right, so I kind of messed up. So Saw Palmetto is the berry, and the gotu kola is the leaf.
The leaf. Okay. And now the reason why is because the gotu kola is really, really, really good for reducing inflammation again. You notice there's a theme that with all of the herbs, it's doing what? It's reducing swelling and inflammation which is helping with the blood flow. But then the other thing is that, which is a side benefit, is gotu kola helps with memory and concentration. So it's actually a food that is feeding, your brain matter, which helps with memory, concentration, studying. When I was in school, I lived on gotu kola with peppermint, because it was real tasty, so it opened up the brain waves. But it opened up the brain waves because it was reducing inflammation in the brain in every area of the body. The gotu kola tends to decrease blood pressure. The same as with the burdock and gentian helping the blood flow,
right,
and the inflammation that reduces the inflammation. But when you reduce inflammation, have a better blood flow, things like cholesterol and blood pressure numbers tend to go down. But the gotu kola is real specific for helping to reduce the blood pressure. Elevated blood pressure can contribute to dysfunctions, and then the blood flow can do the same thing. So our mixture helps the blood flow, but then helps reduce the inflammation and helps lower the blood pressure.
Okay.
And then along with it, which helps you understand the gotu kola, you heard of collagen, right?
Yes.
Okay. That helps feed the muscles and, strengthens the body, is used for workout. Well, the gotu kola mixed in our male tonic increases collagen production. Because the other reason why I take it, because, I'm starting to get more muscles and more tone because that was all mixed in together. So these things are not by accident, okay? It helps with the skin cells. It gives elasticity to the muscles, so it has those additional side things that it can help with. But the biggest thing is that a lot of our men they just love the male tonic. They love the male tonic because they start to see their performance increases tremendously, and it starts with that saluting in the morning thing. I'm trying to be PC as much as I can, because
this podcast is not age restricted, so we just got to keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, I understand. They were like, I remember when I was growing up, because when I grew up in a generation where, my family, and the elders would say, you're in grown people's, discussion. You need to leave the room, because I remember, my father and my uncle and stuff, they would make these comments like, yeah, I feel so good. And they start banging. I could chop wood, and I'd be like, what wood you going to chop, Dad? What, boy? It gets out of people's discussion. Now, one of the signs that you're starting to develop problems is that in the morning, that body saluting starts to decrease. And that's a sign that the testosterone is going down and there's problems in the prostate area. That's like an early warning sign.
Okay.
Okay. That you can still perform, but it's not saluting like my father and them used to say they could chop wood with it kind of thing. So that's an external sign for men that I've got to change something. I've got to improve something. And it's such a simple thing if you catch it early to help maintain it. Now, I've heard people say that, well, when you get into, well, they say 30s and 40s now, but when you get into your 50s and 60s, there's going to be a extreme decrease in your abilities to perform. Some people, yes.
Right.
But there's going to be a decrease because of age and time, but not to the point that, you have to take something that's life-threatening in order to get things to function the way it needs to. So that's why our male tonic has become just so popular. And that along with our blood tonic and detox and stuff like that, it's a big seller. People love it, men in particular. I don't do that commercial where they say, yeah, you'll love it, and then they'll show the wife, and she'll love it too. I don't go there like that. But there's just so many things out there that are false advertisement. It still goes back to making sure that you do the right things for the body. Stress and anxiety, anger, that all can contribute to it, because stress and anxiety and anger will cause. What do you think that would cause? That would affect the performance or the strength of the prostate. Anger and bitterness and all those types of things increases inflammation, slows down the blood flow. As it increases inflammation and slows down the blood flow, then as it slows down the blood flow, blood pressure can be elevated, cholesterol can go up, you can have blood sugar problem, and then of course you have problems through our reproductive system and our liver, which then weakens the immune system, which then increases our problems.
Okay, so Doc, there is one more ingredient. Did we talk about the sarsaparilla root?
No, we really hadn't yet.
Okay. So do you know how I know that was there? It's not I have such a great memory. I just happen to have a bottle of the tonics, and it's right here, right on the ingredients list. I was like, oh, sarsaparilla. I was cheating.
Okay, that's okay. I mean, we kind of, passed over a little bit, but the sarsaparilla root, it's a companion to the burdock and the gentian. It kind of supplements it. It kind of makes it, the burdock and gentian function even faster. But it's the same bitter herb, same kind of anti-inflammatory, increased blood flow. It has a unique effect on the urinary tract system, okay, which is important. Like a couple of others like to go to kola and stuff, because, as I said earlier, when the urinary tract system is compromised, guaranteed that you will eventually develop prostate problem. Because when you're not drinking enough water all by itself, then it's going to have an effect on the kidneys and on the bladder, and then eventually on our blood flow, and then the blood flow through our reproductive system. So it's a complementary herb, but it's very similar to the burdock and gentian as far as helping with the flow. Sarsaparilla root works best combined with some of the stronger bitter herb. It can help by itself, but it works so much better when it's working with the king and queen of the bitter herbs, which is the burdock and gentian. Okay. So you get that trifecta, of the three of them. Then you get the Saw Palmetto, which the Saw Palmetto and the gotu kola, it's like telling the body when the body's consuming it that the burdock and gentian and sarsaparilla, yes, is good for the whole body, but with the gotu kola and the Saw Palmetto, it's like instructing that mixture to do more for the urinary tract and for the prostate area when you're adding in the Saw Palmetto and the gotu kola. You don't have the Saw Palmetto and gotu kola, it's just going to do a good general flush. An excellent flush, but when you add those others, it's like saying, okay, you can flush the whole body, but over there is where we want to work with it the most, which will be for us, the male area of the body.
Okay. Well, Doc, I've got a couple of questions.
I didn't do it.
You didn't do it?
It wasn't me.
Oh, you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. I'm reading the suggested use. It says, as a dietary supplement, take 1 capful daily, more if needed, until the bottle is empty. Are there considerations or risks that someone would want to take into account before they start taking the Herbal Male Tonic?
The biggest risk would probably be people who are on blood thinners,
Okay.
like coumadin and heparin and stuff like that, okay? Because although the bitter herbs are not going to thin the blood, if you're on blood thinners and you're taking that, it can affect the usage of the blood thinners, like the coumadin and heparin and stuff, and then can cause unnecessary internal bleeding and sometimes external bleeding. So that's one of the red flags in a lot of supplements and a lot of herbs when people are on blood thinners or cholesterol medication, like some of the statins, okay? But in this case, the blood tonic, the detox, even the male tonic, because of how it's cleaning the blood, actually helps with the cholesterol. It actually helps with the blood pressure, even though the male tonic is geared towards that area, because, again, reducing the inflammation, helping with the blood flow. So it helps with the 3 major blood issues. The 3 major blood issues in the body: diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure. So it's going to help indirectly while it's really focused on the prostate area.
Doc, if anyone has any questions about taking the Herbal Male Tonic, how can they reach you?
They can give me a call. The best number is 404-943-1171. I'm going to say that again because people might be running for a pen, even though it's on podcast and they can play it again. Okay, but it's 404.
And it's also in your show notes.
Right, yeah.
All right.
943-1171. And then you can look me up online. Just put Dr. Stephen Tates and you'll get some numbers and stuff. But you get an extra consideration. I take care of my patients very well. So
Yes.
they tell me I do. But when you tell me that, I heard you, on Adventures in Good Health podcast, and I say, oh, okay, you're a listener. Okay. So you get, I don't want to say you get extra consideration, but you really do. You really do, because what it tells me is that you're more than just curious. You're really looking at things to improve your health. Because some people just call it a curiosity. But you watching the podcast, you're learning things, which tells me that you're looking at either preventing or improving your health, which I won't say gives you extra consideration, but it does, because I like working with people who want to make changes to their health. Because so many people, they just want to perform better. Once they're performing better, they stop taking the stuff that helped them improve, which then they crash and burn again, and then they're running back to try to get the male tonic, and sometimes the blood tonic with it. The body's only going to let you improve so many times. When you improve and then you stop and you crash and burn. After you do it 2 or 3 times, then you're going to have to do more of the same things, like the supplements and herbs, because like the body got mad at you. I tried to help you. We were on the right track. Why did you stop? Kind of stuff.
Well, Doc, the tonic's been around for over 20 years.
Has it been that long? See, I'm not that old. I'm sorry. You might be that old. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We try to keep it real here. And I've been taking the tonic, the male tonic, for quite some time. It's good to talk to you about it, to understand, not just what's in it, but also what those individual herbs do. Now, if anyone really wants to binge listen on the herbs, we've already done podcasts full-length podcast on each of the herbs that are in the Male Tonic. So just go into the playlist under Doc's Herbal Corner, and if, hey, you want to geek out on herbs, you can listen to Doc, and he goes into all the detail about what each herb does. But I do appreciate this summary episode.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, okay. And then people can get to actually see us, and we're not just a voice,
So we're not just an AI voice just talking.
Right, because, AI, we could be AI right now. No, I'm live, I'm not Memorex.
All right. So, Doc, thank you very much for joining the show.
Thank you.
I think that was a very in-depth and useful conversation. Thank you very much for sharing that with our audience. And to our audience, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching the show. There would be no show without you. So until next week, my name is David Maloof, exploring natural approaches to good health.